Welcome to the Shadow of History channel. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out more videos like this one. In Greenland, 1921, a bundled Inuk toddler grips the sled as if it's a lifeline, furs bright against the ice, and in that small, steady hand, you feel a whole people refusing to let winter win. Against every expectation, in 1963, a tuxedo cat named Félicette rides a French rocket for 15 minutes, drifting above Earth, then returns to silence, reminding us how quickly triumph can be forgotten. Picture 1960 outside her home. Anita Ekberg snaps, lifts a bow, and aims at the paparazzi who chased her all night, a fierce joke turning real and dignity finally drawing bloodless lines. Near Houston in 1981, the woods gave up Dean and Tina Klaus, and their baby vanished into rumor until 2022 revealed Holly alive after an Arizona abandonment, a proof that some mysteries end with breath. From the Crow Nation to a World War II battlefield in 1945, Joe Medicine Crow raids a German position, disarms prisoners, and steals their horses, then carries that warrior's honor home. Showing courage can outlive uniforms. Before 2013 made him Pope Francis, Jorge Mario Bergoglio rides the Buenos Aires subway, shoulders brushing ordinary workers, a former nightclub bouncer moving quietly through Argentina's noise as if holiness prefers the common aisle. In 2010, inside a high-rise garbage chute, Phoebe Handjuk falls 12 stories from the apartment she shared with Anthony Hampel. And when police call it sleepwalking, the 2018 echo of another death chills the air. In Los Angeles, 1987, the Dams family huddles in the open like a camp without a country, faces turned toward traffic and chance, and you can almost hear the question hanging there: who gets to feel safe? Perched above the Pacific in San Francisco around 1900, the Cliff House watches fog roll in like theater curtains, welcoming travelers and shipwreck stories alike, and standing firm where city dreams meet restless water. Look closer. 1918 freezes two animal pals mid-mischief, eyes bright with trust that doesn't need words, and in a world scarred by war, they offer a gentle lesson. Friendship is a survival skill. In Tennessee, 1946, corrupt men hide ballots behind a jail door, and returning World War II veterans ring the building with rifles, waiting in hard silence until surrender comes, reminding us democracy sometimes needs guarding. In Eindhoven in Negentiënvijf en Negentig, Nicole van den Hurk pedals to work and never arrives. And when 16 years later, a stepbrother's false confession forces DNA into the light, the real predator finally loses his shadow. He warned them months ahead, and at Cape Canaveral in 1986, Roger Bois-Joly can only watch as Challenger rises, whispering to his wife, "It's going to blow up," and 73 seconds later, the sky agrees. Suddenly, in 1968, Apollo 8's window frames Earth rising over the moon, a blue marble floating in black silence, and for a heartbeat, every border disappears, leaving one fragile home shining back at us. In 1926, a man grins and holds novelty fish-shaped Christmas crackers beside a real fish, as if daring tradition to blink, and the joke lands because it's honest. Holiday cheer is still just human hands. Here in 1928, a bricklayer pauses with dust on his sleeves, eyes steady as the wall climbs course by course, and you sense the quiet pride of work that will outlast names, turning sweat into skyline. In Greene County, Georgia, 1941, a convict camp sits under a heavy sun, bodies reduced to labor and numbers. And the camera's calm gaze makes the truth sharper. Punishment can become a business of endurance. 2 weeks before tragedy in Edinburgh in 1986, Metallica leans into the roar of a European tour. Laughter caught between amps and streetlight, and the image stings because you can't unsee the coming absence. The stadium holds its breath in New York, 1948, as Babe Ruth steps onto Yankee Stadium one last time, body failing but spirit towering, and when he bows, you feel an era closing like a gate at dusk. In Chicago, 1962, President John F. Kennedy listens as a Native American delegate hands him a request, a small paper carrying centuries of waiting, and his pause tells us leadership begins not with speeches, but with receiving. In Tsaritsyn, Russia, 1906, Rasputin stands with Orthodox clerics, eyes half closed like he's already hearing a different future, and the stiff robes can't hide the storm gathering. Faith, power, and scandal in one frame. After the 1977 blackout, a New York restaurant sits stripped of everything but liquor, shelves glowing like a confession, and you can read the night's hunger in what's missing, proving chaos has its own taste. In British Columbia, 1916, a New England fishing boat returns wearing a coat of ice, rigging turned to crystal and danger, and the frozen lines whisper of men who chased a living into winter's clenched fist. In 1876, Victor Hugo faces the lens with the calm of someone who has argued with kings and time, his hair a white tide. And you realize greatness isn't loud, it's the steady weight of words that remain. In California, 1942, a welder leans into sparks to shape cowls for Liberty ships, each seam a promise against the war's vast appetite, and the shower of light feels like hope, forged one breath at a time. In Ann Arbor, Michigan, 1956, a child reaches toward a gentle animal in a hospital ward, and the room softens, because medicine isn't only needles and charts, it's the moment a frightened heart remembers how to trust. On Shaftesbury Avenue, London, around 1949, headlights smear across wet pavement as the West End keeps moving after war, and the street seems to say, softly but stubbornly, that life will not stay dim. In Shreveport, Louisiana, 1947, our hands assemble traffic lights, glass, wire, patience, teaching order to the rush of cars, and it's oddly moving to see safety built piece by piece, like a promise you can touch. In Los Angeles, 1938, kindergarten teacher Helen Hulick is sentenced to jail for wearing slacks to court, and the absurdity burns because the judge isn't policing fabric, he's policing freedom, one stubborn step at a time. In a doctor's workshop around 1898, Dr. Beale presents his old-fashioned toilet seat with earnest pride, and you can almost hear the sales pitch. Yet the photo reminds us progress often arrives wearing a perfectly straight face. Neon explodes over Dotonbori Street in Osaka, 1970, reflecting in the canal like electric koi, while crowds drift from stall to theater, and the night hums with the simple thrill of being awake together. In St. Louis, Missouri, 1910, paperboys clutch fresh headlines with ink-stained fingers, shouting for coins that might buy supper, and the street listens, because news has always traveled on the backs of the young. On the home front, around 1944, with her husband at war, a mother leans into the engine bay and turns a wrench like a vow, and the grease on her hands reads as patriotism written in daily survival. Step into New York City, 1904, where a dinner party at the Hotel Astor glitters with linen and confidence, yet behind the smiles you sense the new century rehearsing its ambitions, preparing to change the world's tempo. High above New York City around 1926, painters cling to the Woolworth Building like birds on a cliff, brushes dangling over empty air, and every casual gesture dares gravity, proving courage can look like routine. In 1988, on an English football pitch, Vinnie Jones grabs Paul Gascoigne with comic menace, a split second of rough theater that says everything about the era's game, and leaves you laughing until you feel the bruise. London, November 4, 1940. A bride steps out of her recently bombed home, veil catching soot and morning light, and the hook is unbearable. Love refuses to wait for peace, marching forward through rubble with grace. In October 1941, Grand Central Terminal in New York City swells with uniforms, suitcases, and hurried kisses. The ceiling stars watching silently, and you can almost feel history tightening its grip as trains pull futures down the track. In 1974, 5-year-old Harold Whittles wears a new earpiece, and his face changes in an instant, eyes widening as sound arrives for the first time, and the room becomes sacred, because hearing is a kind of miracle. In Iran, 1980, women flood the street to protest a mandated dress code, voices rising above fear and politics, and the moment hooks you because courage here isn't abstract. It's a body insisting on choice, aloud. In Weslaco, Texas, 1942, the Drake brothers play a barn dance at an FSA camp, fiddles lifting dust into rhythm. And for a few songs, the hardship loosens its hold, proving music can feed a crowd without bread. In Washington, D.C., 1920, workers hoist the Abraham Lincoln statue into the new memorial. Ropes taut as history takes physical shape, and you sense the weight of a nation trying to set its ideals in stone. In downtown Los Angeles in 1930, a woman holds a sign demanding an end to illegal immigration raids, and the hook is her calm stare. Not because even then the fight was simple. Stop taking people in the night. Times Square, New York City, around 1947, blazes with ads and after-hours energy, strangers crossing like quick comets, and the scene hooks you by its optimism, because the city keeps rewriting itself in light. In London, 1926, a dapper group of young gentlemen poses at the races, hats tipped just so, confidence stitched into every crease, and the hook is their ease, because they don't yet know how fast the world can turn. At Crystal Palace in London, 1926, a boy and his dog wait at the Middlesex Hospital Open Championship show, leash slack with trust, and the moment hooks you softly, because childhood is often just loyalty on 4 paws. Hear Paris in 1890 before you see it. Hooves on cobblestone, cafe talk, and river fog curling along the Seine, while strangers hurry beneath gaslight, unaware they're walking inside the birth of a new century. In Washington, D.C., 1962, the camera catches President John F. Kennedy beside Peter Lawford, family by law and friends by charm. And for a beat, the power of office looks almost light enough to carry. In 1920, on a dusty farmyard step, a boy steals a cigarette and exhales with pretend bravado, while a chicken watches like a stern little teacher, and childhood's shortcut to adulthood suddenly feels heartbreakingly plain. Karachi, Pakistan, 1973. What sounds like a revolution is really laughter as young Pakistani hippies roll a handmade joint, passing dreams between fingers, and the crowded street around them becomes a brief oasis of freedom. From Cairo around 1900, these Egyptian women meet the lens in traditional dress, eyes steady and unhurried, as if asking us to look past costume and see character, and their quiet strength still fills the room. Westminster, England, 1936. Amid the clatter of an invention fair, a small trouser press promises to tame wrinkles with mechanical certainty, and in its modest jaws, you can feel modern life demanding neatness from every hurried body. In Sullivan County, New York, 1980, Bobby Shafran walks into college, and strangers greet him by another name until he meets Eddie, and the mirror becomes flesh, proving that identity can be stolen quietly and found loudly. In 1963, at a sunny parade route, the original Balloon Boy floats through the crowd on a wobbling cloud of rubber and hope. And every smiling face below seems to whisper the same spell: don't let go. Early in the 1980s, inside a cramped phone booth, a man checks email through a Panasonic acoustic coupler, the modem chirping like a tiny bird, and you can hear the future dialing in, one squeal at a time. New York Harbor, 1985. High on scaffolding, a construction worker readies the removal of the Statue of Liberty's original torch, and the scene hooks you because even icons need repairs, reminding us freedom is a job, not a gift. Hyderabad, an 1865. Color floods a Nihang bodyguard's portrait, steel and faith held close as he serves the Nizam's Sikh fighters, and the hook is his calm gaze, because protection is sometimes a sacred duty, not a pose. Matanuska Valley, Alaska, 1959. One small boy hoists a cabbage big as his torso, grinning at the sheer impossibility of it, and suddenly agriculture feels like wonderwork, proving the land can still surprise its keepers. Washington, D.C., circa 1925. Bikers pose proudly outside H. Addison Bowie's Harley-Davidson shop on H Street, engines and egos gleaming, and the hook is their swagger, because speed was already a language, even when roads were rough. London, 1970. John Cleese turns a sidewalk into the ministry of silly walks, on legs snapping into impossible angles with deadpan pride, and the laughter hits deeper than comedy, because absurdity can be a quiet protest against gray days. In 1947, on a U.S. Air Force runway, a boy dangles from a jet's open engine like curiosity made reckless, and the image hooks you with its danger, reminding us progress often begins before safety learns to speak. Circa 1950, in a family living room, vintage Halloween costumes turn children into monsters and heroes stitched from sheets and cardboard, and the hook is their fearless play, because imagination is the only mask that never cracks. Backstage in 1990, Alice in Chains stands close under harsh lights, faces half tired and half hungry for sound, and the hook is the quiet before the riff. Because you can sense fame arriving like weather, sudden, heavy, unavoidable. California, 1892, loggers pose beside the fallen Mark Twain redwood, a giant reduced to display slabs for faraway museums, and the hook is the scale of loss, because progress here is measured in rings that stop. Antwerp, Belgium, 1918. The streets burst open as citizens celebrate the end of World War I, waving and weeping in the same breath, and the hook is their release, because peace isn't quiet at first, it's a roar of living. Aboard HMS Sphinx in 1907, a British sailor bends close to unfasten a slave's manacle, and the hook is the small click of metal giving up, because freedom often begins not with speeches, but with hands that act. In 1938, inside a designer's studio, the Hispano-Suiza Dubonnet. Xenia gleams like a spacecraft made for roads, curves flowing with unreal elegance, and the hook is its dreamlike shape, because luxury can be a kind of prophecy. Paris, 1960. Beneath the Arc de Triomphe, a couple locks into an embrace as traffic swirls like history around them. And the hook is their stillness, because love can briefly stop a city that never stops itself. In 1926, on a bright city street, two women sweep by in dramatic cloaks, selling never ladder stockings with theatrical flair. And the hook is their confidence. Because advertising works best when it feels like a little magic. West Berlin, 1963. John F. Kennedy leans into the roar at City Hall, speaking over a sea of faces hungry for reassurance. And the hook is the crowd's belief, because words here become a wall stronger than concrete. Somewhere in Germany in the 1940s, a soldier makes his dog strike a pose, coaxing comedy out of uniform life, and the hook is the tenderness it reveals. Because even in war, people reach for normal, one grin at a time. Circa 1938, in a buzzing health salon, a woman rests her arms and legs in water buckets charged with electric current, trusting science's sparkle to fix circulation, and the hook is her faith, because hope will try any wire. Lakehurst, New Jersey. In 1937, a survivor runs in the lower corner as the Hindenburg burns behind him, and the hook is the speed of disaster, because in one instant, the age of airships turns to fire and memory. Moscow, 1959. Dior models glide through a new audience, couture meeting Cold War curiosity in a single stride, and the hook is the contrast between softness and politics, because fabric can cross borders when people cannot. Penn Station, New York City, 1943. A soldier's farewell unfolds in a tight embrace, luggage at their feet and duty in the air. And the hook is what's unsaid, because love here is measured in trains that leave. High above the Thames, 6 daring workers scale the towering ropes of the Albert Bridge in 1926, demonstrating the raw physical courage required to maintain the structural integrity of London's most elegant Victorian landmark. Balanced precariously upon a natural rock bridge on Washington's Mount Rainier, these intrepid hikers paused in 1963 to admire the vast, untamed wilderness stretching toward the horizon during an unforgettable high-altitude Pacific Northwest adventure. Glimmering screens illuminate the cool night air as families gather at a San Francisco drive-in theater in 1948, capturing the quintessential mid-century American pastime of watching cinema from the comfort of a car. Beyond the stern, facade of Soviet politics, a rare moment of levity reveals Joseph Stalin laughing with his personal photographer during the 1940s, providing a chillingly human glimpse into the dictator's private world. The wild rhythm and intense focus of Ginger Baker define an era of rock history as the legendary drummer's explosive talent transformed the musical landscape from the late 60s until his passing in 2019. Horse-drawn carriages and early automobiles share the bustling cobblestones of Main Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, during 1920, marking a pivotal era where traditional life slowly yielded to the rapid pace of modernity. Emerging from the darkness into a world finally at peace, these hollow-eyed survivors stand behind the wire at Buchenwald in 1945, representing the harrowing endurance of the human spirit amidst unimaginable wartime atrocities. Huddled around a sparse wooden table in 1932, a family shares a modest Christmas dinner during the Great Depression, finding warmth and unity despite the crushing economic hardships that defined this somber American era. With the heavy clouds of occupation finally lifted, cheerful cafe waitresses served plates of hot chips to celebratory crowds in 1944, Paris marking the joyful return of French culture and everyday wartime simple pleasures. Bathers lounge beside a curious stuffed alligator at the tidal basin in Washington, D.C. during the 1920s, showcasing the quirky and eccentric fashion in which city dwellers sought relief from the sweltering summer heat. Stiff collars and elaborate lace define these formal portraits of Victorian couples from the mid-19th century, capturing the rigid social etiquette and romantic ideals that governed the domestic lives of the era's burgeoning middle class. Engineers in 1924, Chicago developed this ingenious car wash specifically to scrub the thick mud from undercarriages, a necessary invention for city drivers, on navigating the messy transition from unpaved dirt roads to modern pavement. Long before he became a global superstar, a young Jim Carrey displays his elastic expressions for Interview magazine in 1984, hinting at the manic comedic genius that would soon take the entire world by storm. Muscles strained and faces set with determination, these anonymous laborers embody the relentless grit of manual toil as they build the foundations of a growing nation during the height of the industrial age. Clad in their formal uniforms, a group of curious schoolboys pose alongside stately king penguins at the London Zoo in 1953, capturing a charming and innocent moment of post-war educational discovery and animal wonder. Remarkably surviving a brutal encounter with Sioux Chief Little Turtle at age 13, Robert McGee posed in 1890 to reveal the physical scars of a harrowing frontier ordeal that defined his incredibly resilient life. Walking through the coastal streets of Mombasa in 1909, a Kenyan woman leads her gentle pet deer, illustrating a unique and harmonious bond between humans and the local wildlife during the early 20th century. The brilliant Bobby Fischer displays intense concentration in Hollywood during 1964 as he faces 50 opponents, simultaneously remarkably winning 47 games in a legendary exhibition of his unparalleled and world-class American chess mastery. Overwhelmed with pure joy, a young boy at an Austrian orphanage clutches a brand new pair of shoes in 1946, finding a small but profound sense of dignity following the devastating losses of war. Dust and lint fill the air as young workers labor within a Mississippi cotton mill during the 1910s, serving as a poignant reminder of the harsh realities and lost childhoods of industrial America. Standing on the banks of the Thames in 1880, a mother and daughter watch a majestic tall ship navigate the river, witnessing the fading glory of the sail era in the heart of London. Wrapped in the soft elegance of the late 19th century, a young woman poses for a studio portrait in Kentucky, her steady gaze reflecting the quiet dignity and fashion of the rural American South. A 10-year-old Drew Barrymore experiences the vibrant nightlife of New York City with her mother Jade in 1985, living a remarkably adult childhood under the bright and often unforgiving lights of Hollywood fame. A rugged Ford Model T stands in the shadows of the ancient Sphinx in 1914, representing a startling collision between the dawn of the machine age and the timeless endurance of Egypt's desert monuments. With his camera ready and a keen eye for the perfect shot, photographer William Leftwich braves the elements to document the world, capturing the fleeting moments that would eventually become our shared history. Steam billows and iron wheels clatter as passengers experience the thrill of rail travel in 1865, marveling at the incredible speed and mechanical power that forever shrunk the distances across the expanding American landscape. Suspended high above the Willamette River, workers take a daring break on the St. John's Bridge in 1931, their casual confidence defying the dizzying heights of this Portland architectural masterpiece during its construction. Directing traffic with calm authority near Charing Cross Station in 1968, P.C. Norwell, Roberts makes history as London's first black police officer, breaking barriers during a transformative period for the British Metropolitan Police. The thundering roar. How falls silent as Niagara Falls appears strangely barren in 1969 when engineers diverted the massive flow of water to study the erosion and structural integrity of the iconic American landmark's cliffs. Neon lights and towering billboards create a dazzling kaleidoscope of color. In 1950s Times Square, capturing the electric energy of New York City at the very peak of its mid-century urban cultural dominance. In a charmingly whimsical scene from 1914, three kittens dressed in tiny nightclothes gather around a glowing candlestick, illustrating the early 20th century fascination with creating playful and elaborate animal photography for the public. Amidst the smoking ruins of the London Blitz between 1940 and 1941, the defiant staff of Buckia's bakers in Holborn continue their work, standing as symbols of British resilience against the relentless aerial bombardment. Alert and loyal, a Finnish military dog stands guard during the Second World War, highlighting the vital and often overlooked role that animals played in reconnaissance and companionship on the harsh northern front. A massive blimp is instantly shredded by the terrifying shockwave of a nuclear test in the Nevada desert during 1957, providing a haunting visual testament to the destructive power unleashed during the Cold War. Perched precariously atop a long wooden ladder, a worker meticulously changes a street lamp in 1890s London, maintaining the flickering glow that illuminated the foggy cobblestone alleys of the late Victorian-era city. On the set of Conan the Destroyer in 1983, Arnold Schwarzenegger stands alongside the legendary giants Wilt Chamberlain and Andre the Giant, creating a truly monumental image of physical power and cinematic history. In a touching moment of humanity amidst the brutal Battle of the Bulge, a U.S. soldier reaches out to shake hands with a local dog in Luxembourg during the bitter winter of 1944. Director John Carpenter shares a creative laugh with James Hong on the set of Big Trouble in Little China in 1986, capturing the collaborative spirit behind one of the decade's most beloved films. Standing at a staggering height of nearly 9 feet, Robert Wadlow remains the tallest man in history, whose gentle nature and extraordinary physical presence captivated the world until his untimely passing in 1940. Armed with a pea shooter, Mary Smith earns her living as a knocker-up in 1930s East London, firing dried peas at bedroom windows to ensure workers wake up on time for their shifts. A traveling sharpener operates his foot-powered grinding wheel for a customer in the early 1910s, providing an essential service that kept the knives and tools of rural American households in perfect working order. Hoping to vanish into the landscape, U.S. soldiers test experimental and bizarrely shaped camouflage gear in 1917, reflecting the desperate and creative attempts to protect infantry during the trench warfare of World War I. Perched high atop the Cathedral of Learning in 1960 University of Pittsburgh, students cheer wildly while looking down at Forbes Field as the Pirates clinch a historic and unforgettable World Series victory. In a quiet Norwegian kitchen circa 1955, a dedicated baker carefully decorates a traditional kransekake with miniature flags, preserving a cherished culinary custom for a festive celebration in the heart of Scandinavia. A young boy expresses his musical dreams through a simple cardboard guitar in 1972, proving that creativity and the spirit of rock and roll require nothing more than a vivid and soulful imagination. Constructed in 1909 by Adolf Whitman, the mysterious Radiomensch occultus stands as a fascinating early example of mechanical ingenuity, blending the era's obsession with new technology and the dark allure of the occult. The skyline of Manhattan begins a dramatic transformation in 1966 as construction starts on the World Trade Center district, a massive engineering project that would eventually define the city's iconic modern financial landscape. Connected by a complex web of wires, operators at the Pacific Telephone Switchboard in Walla Walla diligently managed the town's communication lines during the bustling month of March in 1957, Washington State. A wall of white engulfs the landscape as a highway department crew documents the sheer power of a 1966 North Dakota blizzard where massive snowdrifts buried homes and brought all travel to a standstill. Marking the transition from rock and roll royalty to a humble soldier, Elvis Presley is sworn into compulsory Army service in Arkansas during 1958, a moment that captivated his millions of fans worldwide. The intense heat of molten steel radiates from a massive furnace at the Bethlehem Steel Mills in 1966, where Maryland workers labored around the clock to fuel America's booming post-war industrial construction. Long before he piloted the Millennium Falcon, a young Harrison Ford worked as a skilled carpenter in 1970, captured here building a recording studio for the legendary Brazilian musician Sergio Mendes in California. Flying through the air in his iconic cement print sneakers, Michael Jordan heads toward his second slam dunk title in 1988, forever cementing his legacy as the greatest athlete to ever play the game. Having once belonged to Charles Darwin in 1835, this incredible Galapagos tortoise lived a long and storied life until passing away at Steve Irwin's Australian Zoo in 2006, spanning 2 centuries of history. Clad in a clean white uniform, a New York City street cleaner works diligently during the early 1900s to maintain urban hygiene, a vital but often unnoticed role in the rapidly growing metropolis. For just a single penny, this innovative English vending machine provided a pre-lit cigarette in 1931, offering a quick and convenient smoke to busy commuters during the height of the early 20th century. The misty atmosphere of Lisbon's Cais do Sodré waterfront is captured in 1950, where the quiet rhythm of Portuguese life unfolds along the docks in a beautiful display of post-war European street photography. Rehearsing his theatrical gestures in front of a private mirror, Adolf Hitler prepares for a speech in 1925 as his photographer Heinrich Hoffmann captures the calculated performance behind the dictator's rising political power. Ingeborg Bullert reflects the tragic plight of countless women in 1945 Berlin who were forced to navigate a landscape of systemic violence and medical mandates during the chaotic final days of the European War. After surviving 2 harrowing years alone on Wrangel Island, the legendary Ada Blackjack returned to civilization in 1923, having courageously outlasted every man on her ill-fated Arctic expedition through sheer individual willpower. Walking home after a long day of labor, sharecroppers traverse a North Carolina tobacco plantation in 1939, their weary frames reflecting the deep economic and social struggles of the rural American South's history. The spirit of athletic competition shines in 1908 London as a high jumper clears the bar at the Olympic Games, marking an era of newfound international sportsmanship and the pursuit of human excellence. Dressed in their finest Sunday attire, a beautiful couple from 1889 poses for a timeless portrait, capturing the quiet affection and elegant fashion that defined romantic partnerships during the late 19th century Victorian era. Dwarfed by the sheer scale of nature, a group of visitors pose before a colossal tree in Vancouver's Stanley Park during 1904, marveling at the ancient giants that once dominated the Canadian wilderness. The warm aroma of fresh baking fills the air as a young woman carefully removes a loaf of bread from her oven in 1909, highlighting on the daily domestic rituals of early 20th century life. Dressed in her elegant prom finery, a young lady poses for a 1950s Kodachrome photograph, while her mischievous little brother playfully photobombs the shot to create a cherished and humorous family memory. Ticking with precision since 1410, the Prague astronomical clock remains the world's oldest operating mechanism of its kind, a stunning Gothic masterpiece that has tracked the celestial dance of stars for over 6 centuries. The Priscilla nuclear test erupts in a terrifying pillar of fire during the 1957 Operation Plum Bob, captured by the Las Vegas News Bureau as a stark reminder of the atomic age's immense destructive power. Bringing the magic of literature to remote communities, the first bookmobile of the Cincinnati Public Library began its journey circa 1927, transforming a simple motor vehicle into a vital hub for rural American education. Challenging the rigid gender norms of 1966, the Rolling Stones famously posed in drag for photographer Jerry Schatzberg, showcasing the rebellious spirit and playful subversion that defined the peak of the British rock invasion. Basking in the glow of global superstardom, the Rolling Stones project an aura of effortless cool in 1967, standing as the undisputed icons of a generation that redefined music fashion and youthful cultural rebellion. Dressed in delicate lace and finery, the Romanov children appear hauntingly innocent in 1910, unaware of the revolutionary storms that would soon bring a tragic and violent end to the centuries-old Russian imperial dynasty. In a rare moment of domestic tranquility, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth pose with their daughters in 1936, capturing the royal family just as they inherited the heavy burdens of the British crown. Blazing a trail for women in rock, Shout the Runaways exude raw energy and teenage rebellion during the 1970s, proving that girls could play just as loud and fast as their male musical contemporaries. Surrounded by a circle of devoted followers in 1914, St. Petersburg, the mystic Rasputin exerts a magnetic and controversial influence over the Russian elite, fueling the scandals that would eventually topple an entire empire. Blending global diplomacy with the magic of animation, the Shah and Queen of Iran share a whimsical boat ride with Walt Disney during their high-profile visit to the Californian theme park in 1962. Glimmering with the technological optimism of the Soviet space age, the Siberiak robot stands on display at Moscow's VDNH in 1965, representing the ambitious dreams of Russian engineers striving toward a futuristic automated world. Tucked away in a room filled with creative chaos, The Simpsons writing staff labors in 1992 to craft the sharp satire and heartfelt humor that would soon transform television history and global animation. Bathed in the dramatic light of 1951, Spain, a traditional spinner works with ancient tools in Delia Tosa, captured by W. Eugene Smith as a powerful symbol of endurance and the fading rural European way. Rising like a silver gateway toward the Missouri sky, the St. Louis Arch undergoes construction around 1964, while 3 local children witness the birth of a landmark that would redefine the American Midwest. Deep within a Parisian workshop in 1882, the colossal hand of the Statue of Liberty takes shape under sculptor Frederick Auguste Bartholdi, a massive engineering feat destined to become a global symbol of freedom. Surrounded by heavy machinery and scaffolding, the ancient monoliths of Stonehenge underwent a massive reconstruction around 1919, revealing how much of this prehistoric landmark's current appearance was shaped by modern British hands. Dressed in a matching sequins and radiating sheer vocal power, the Supremes dominate the stage in 1965, defining the elegant Motown sound that conquered the global charts and broke down significant racial barriers in music. In a startling collision of social worlds, the Swedish king Carl XVI Gustaf joins a group of young skinheads for a game of darts, capturing a rare and candid moment of royal cultural interaction. Thick smoke billows over the Swiss city of Schaffhausen on April 1, 1944, following a tragic accidental bombing by American forces that forever scarred this neutral nation during the height of the global conflict. Hidden beneath a massive web of protective bamboo scaffolding, the Taj Mahal underwent essential repairs in 1943, ensuring that India's greatest architectural treasure survived the turbulent years of the Second World War. Designed to look like the very food it served, the Tamale Mexican restaurant stands as a quirky landmark. In late 1920s, Los Angeles celebrating the eccentric roadside architecture of early California car culture. A dense and chaotic web of telephone wires darkens the skies of Manhattan in 1887, illustrating the explosive growth of communication technology before the city finally moved its sprawling electrical infrastructure safely underground. In a poignant display of brotherhood during the early 1950s, two soldiers comfort each other on the battlefield, capturing the profound emotional toll and the deep bonds formed amidst the frozen trenches of the Korean War. Clad in traditional braided tunics and crisp white kilts, the Evzones of the Greek Republican Guard stand in ceremonial splendor, preserving a centuries-old military heritage that remains a proud symbol of national identity and resilience. In a terrifying 1980 display of state power, South Korean soldiers charge pro-democracy protesters with clubs in Gwangju, a violent suppression that would eventually become a pivotal catalyst for the nation's democratic movement. Wearing their service uniforms in 1945, Chicago soldiers labor over a massive locomotive, ensuring the critical rail infrastructure remained operational as the United States navigated the final industrial demands of the Second World War. Draped in elegant traditional fabrics, a Somali woman poses for a portrait. In 1940, her dignified expression and intricate attire offering a beautiful glimpse into the rich cultural heritage of the Horn of Africa. In a dark chapter of medical history, doctors once weaponized psychology by diagnosing enslaved people with drapetomania, an absurd and cruel mental illness used to pathologize a human being's natural and rational desire for freedom. Under the bright California sun of 1967, Sonny and Cher joined the elite of Los Angeles to welcome the iconic model Twiggy, capturing a vibrant intersection of music and fashion during the Summer of Love. Dressed in their finest lace and suits, a stylish family poses for a portrait in 1907, radiating a sense of pride and social standing during the refined elegance of the Edwardian era. Surrounded by scaffolding in 1883, Paris, the Statue of Liberty, is meticulously assembled, piece by piece, a monumental gift of friendship preparing for its long journey across the Atlantic to New York. Henry Ford sits proudly in his first experimental automobile in 1896, a simple machine of bicycle wheels and iron that would eventually ignite a global revolution in transportation and industrial manufacturing. A family stands before their modest homestead in 1914 North Dakota, their determined expressions telling a story of the grit and perseverance required to build a life on the vast American plains. Clad in leather and focused on the road ahead, a woman navigates a 1935 BMW motorcycle, embodying the spirit of independence and the growing thrill of solo travel during the interwar years. A few wooden buildings and a dusty trail mark the humble beginnings of Las Vegas in 1895, long before the neon lights and desert luxury transformed the small outpost into a global destination.